Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome to just one more episode of Lume Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Microbrands. Lume Wars Episodes 1 and 2 were both won by Swiss watches. Number 1 by the Rolex Submariner, number 2 by the Oris GBR3. Can today's group of plucky microbrand rebels blow up the Death Star that is the Swiss watch industry? We are about to find out. But before we move on, have we all seen The Rise of Skywalker? What did we think? At least we have Rogue One. That's one film out of 5 that I genuinely love. Not a great strike rate from Disney, is it? But anyway, this isn't a movie review channel. It's still about watches, so let's move forwards. I love making these videos. All of my videos are a little bit nerdy, a little bit geeky, but I think Lume is probably the nerdiest and geekiest of the lot. They don't get a lot of views, but I have so much fun making them. So let's get on with this one. Alright, welcome to another episode of Lume Wars then. Here are our 8 contenders for today's installment. Who have we got? Let's start on the left and work our way over to the right. Extreme left, it's an Oris Great Barrier Reef 3 Special Edition, currently on loan to me from Oris Australia. Gorgeous, gorgeous watch. I reviewed it just before Christmas. Took it on holiday with me and I love it. Next up, it's a Rolex GMT Master 2, aka Batgirl. This one on loan to me from the Clockbait channel from the UK. Luke and Anthony, 2 lads from London. Don't even ask how this ended up in my possession. You can expect a full review of this one at the weekend when all shall be explained. There may be a clue here though. Next up is a Doxa Sub 1500T Caribbean, currently on loan from the mysterious Mr. X. He didn't just buy one Doxa a couple of months ago, he bought 2 Doxas a couple of months ago. So this one is on loan for Lume Wars today. Heading towards the middle, it's the Orient Kamasu. This one just arrived. I peeled off the stickers in a double unboxing video from Joma Shop just before Christmas. Really looking forward to the full review. I've got some big plans for this watch, a couple of comparisons coming up. Alongside its sister brand, brother brand, it is the Seiko Samurai in glorious resplendent orange. I bought this one for myself about 3 or 4 months ago. Next door to the Samurai is the Ithyus Abyssi, a brand new watch. The first time you heard of this one was 4 seconds ago. It arrived just before Christmas. You can expect to see a review of it in the coming weeks. Likewise, next to it, I have 2 more micros in the queue for review. A BOLDR Expedition, looks fantastic with a fully loomed dial, could be a contender today. And a glorious green Zelos Mako V3. Again, you can expect to see reviews of these ones in the coming weeks and months on the channel. I thought I would sneak preview a few of them here in Lume Wars. So, same format as always. 4 quarter-finals, 2 semi-finals, 1 final. I'm not going to do a 3rd and 4th place playoff because let's face it, who cares who finishes 3rd? Let's get on with it. Alright, let's start off with the 2 Swiss big hitters. It's the Oris Great Barrier Reef 3 on the left and the Rolex GMT Master 2 on the right. Initially both looking quite similar. Similar hues, similar colour tones anyway, in spite of the fact that they use very different looms. The Oris uses Superluminova BGW9 on the left, whereas Rolex used to use Superluminova BGW9, but they switched to their own proprietary Chromalight a couple of years ago. Now apparently the reason they switched to Chromalight is because it lasts up to twice as long as BGW9. But does it? Let's speed these guys up and see how they get on over the rest of the 20-minute test period. Now, the green fading to blue, you get that beautiful blue hue from both of these watches. Both doing quite well, but I think at this point you can see the Rolex on the right actually beginning to tail off a little bit quicker than the Oris on the left. Now, if this was a 40-minute test, if this was a 60-minute test of my camera, the results may well have been different, but it isn't. It's 20 minutes, and for my money, the Oris on the left is the clear winner after 20 minutes. Next up, it's the biggest mismatch in terms of price anyway. The Doxa on the left costing close to $2,000, the Orient on the right costing $200 US. Now the Doxa, again, like the Oris, uses BGW9 Superluminova, you get that nice ice white blue. They've chosen to go for an orange lume pip for some reason. It looks okay, but orange never lasts as long as blue in my experience. Orient on the right doesn't specify the lume, perhaps as they're owned by the Epsom group they're using Seiko's Lume Bright. Let's find out how they get on when I speed them up. I think this one is clear from the beginning. The Doxa is a bit of a disappointment. The lume pip is gone, shortly followed by the indices, whereas the plucky Orient is hanging on in there. Much brighter all round, hands, indices and lume pip than the Doxa. If I'd just paid £2 for one of those Doxas, an out and out dive watch, I wouldn't be all that happy with the lume performance. Okay, another potential mismatch here, but we'll see in which direction in just about 1 minute's time. On the left, it's the Seiko Samurai, a sturdy, sensible dive watch choice using Seiko's proprietary Lume Bright, yours for around $300. Now, on the right, it's the Ithyus Abyssi, a watch that I would imagine most of you haven't heard of up to this point. It is more expensive though, $650 US, but as you can see, the lume on the Ithyus is insane. Heaps of BGW9 on the indices, on the hour marker, and all the way around that fully loomed bezel. Let's crank up the speed and see how they get on. Now, I must say the Ithyus has that two-tone look, the minute hand and the lume pip being of a different shade and tone. If this is a trend, please, can we let it not be a trend? I really don't like it. I would much prefer if it was the one colour throughout. But moans and niggles aside, it does very well for itself. Again, I think this one is pretty clear. As we're approaching the end of the 20 minutes, there's only one winner here, and it's not the Seiko. And finally, it's the battle of the Singaporean microbrands, the BOLDR Expedition on the left and the Zelos Mako V3 on the right, both taking very different approaches, but both initially looking absolutely outstanding when you turn off the lights. The Expedition has gone for a full lume dial with loomed bezel also. The Zelos on the right, two tones, C3 on most of the indices and the hour and minute hands, but we've got a little bit of BGW9 on the minute track on around the outer edge and on the end of the second hand. Now, cranking the speed up, you can see the first thing to go is the bezel on the BOLDR on the left, but the dial does hang on. Lume dials really do look great after dark, but as we approach the end of the 20 minutes, I think it's fairly obvious that the Zelos has got this one in the bag. It doesn't do outstandingly, but the BOLDR is almost illegible. Nice try, but no cigar for you. Alright, semi-final number one then, and it's an even bigger mismatch than the Orient faced in the heats. It's the Oris Great Barrier Reef 3 on the left and the Orient Kamasu on the right. $2,500 US versus $200 for the Orient. I really wasn't expecting the Orient to do so well. I've reviewed a Mako 2 in the past and it did okay, but this one they seem to really have put extra effort into their lume. Now here we go, things are moving quickly. First thing to fade is that tiny little small second hand on the Oris. No surprises there, but perhaps you noticed from the Oris's heat, the indices hang on longer than the hands, and perhaps you noticed from the Orient's heat, the hands hang on longer than the indices. This could end up giving us a little bit of difficulties when it comes to judging which one is the winner. We're towards the end of the 20 minutes. I'm going to slow it back down to real time so we can have a good look here. This is based on legibility, at a glance legibility, and you've got to say that at a glance, the fact that the hands have hung on longer on the Orient means that it beats the Oris on this occasion. Another giant killing win for the Orient. And our second semi-final today is microbrand mayhem with the Ithyus Abyssi on the left and the Zelos Mako on the right, both of them displaying an outrageous amount of lume when you turn the lights off on these two. It is fantastic. Being a lume pig, I love it. Alright, let's crank up the speed on these two. When the speed turns up, you can see it's the BGW9 highlights on the Mako that fade the fastest. That chapter ring has begun to disappear and the bezel insert is beginning to fade quicker on the Mako than it does on the Ithyus. Once again, just like I did with the Orient and the Kamasu, I'm going to let it run to almost the 20 minutes and I'm going to slow it right back down so we can have a good look at these two. Again, I don't think it's all that difficult to say that the Ithyus takes this one out. So that leaves us with the grand final then. I wasn't expecting these two to be in the final today. I knew the Ithyus was a little bit special when I got it, but I certainly wasn't expecting the Kamasu to do as well as it has done. But can it take out the crown? Let's crank up the speed one last time on these two guys. Again, I think clearly different approaches here, clearly different price points as well. The Ithyus costing nearly 3 times as much as the Kamasu. It really has been the value winner today. I suspect nothing much else near 200 bucks can touch this one, but once again, I'm going to slow it right down as we approach the end of the 20 minutes. You got to say that all-round legibility, the fact that the bezel insert has hung on as long as it did, means there's only one winner today, and that's the Ithyus Abyssi. So there you have it, Lume Wars Episode 3 taken out by the Ithyus Abyssi, a watch you hadn't heard of 9 minutes ago, I will suggest. Just goes to show that if you are coming to market, it's an increasingly saturated market for microbrands, especially divers, around this $500 mark. You've got to get it right, and I think this bodes very well. I often say that when brands want to cut costs, one of the first corners that gets cut is the Lume, and that's clearly not the case. You can expect to see a review of this one coming up in the weeks to come. It's not perfect, there's a couple of moans and niggles with the bracelet particularly, but generally I think a very solid offering. I'll leave links to this one and all of the others for you in the description of the video. Just to prove that I'm not completely mental, here's some really speeded up footage of the Ithyus against the Oris and the Rolex. I just wanted to confirm against the two big hitters that it was indeed as good as the results suggested, and it is indeed as good as the results suggest it is. Pretty outstanding for a brand new brand to offer their first model with Lume as good as this one, an essential component of a dive watch. I love making these videos, I hope you enjoy watching them. I'll see you all in Lume Wars Episode 4, if not before.